Welcome to Husky Radio, episode 10.
10. It's a big, huge one.
The big one.
We made it.
That's why we fired someone.
Oh, yeah. Kyle is no longer with us.
Yeah.
Not on this mortal plane anymore.
Nope. And we will miss him. By that, we just mean he's not in the house.
Yeah, he's not here right now. We don't know where he is.
I'm assuming he quit and just didn't want to tell us.
He didn't want to tell us.
That would be,
it's going to be awkward when you go to like family dinner and he's
buddy,
not there.
Hey, brother-in-law that is married to my sister.
Yeah.
It's just weird. He's just going to ignore me like, what?
Yeah, their brother-in-law. That's why Tyler's on the podcast. It's
that's all it is. It's not because I have the sound equipment. No.
But Kyle is busy doctoring or something.
He's doctoring.
He thinks it's more important than podcasting, I guess.
I'm hoping he's like okay, because no one has heard from him for a very long time.
I'm sure he's fine.
Oh, I mean, it's been like a week.
Oh yeah, it has. I guess I don't talk to him that much.
What did he look like?
Big nose.
Big nose. Oh, and here we are making fun of him. Poor guy.
Sorry if you listen to this, Kyle.
Sorry.
You don't have a big nose. It's petite if we change how measurements work.
Yes. So it's just going to be Scott and I today, which is wonderful. We're going to talk about things that are things.
Yeah,
we're jumping around today.
We got a grab bag of stuff.
Episode 10 could have been a big one.
It could have been.
The big musical number.
Yeah.
But no, we're going to be jumping around.
Episode 10. It's time to talk until we're dead. I didn't have anything that rhymed with 10.
It was all right. It was decent.
We are men.
Oh. So today we are going to talk about a little bit of Destiny things.
We're gonna pivot. We've done a lot of Destiny.
Yeah,
lately,
we've a lot of Destiny.
So we're gonna pivot a little bit to some TV and movie stuff. Especially since Kyle's not here, we're gonna talk about movie stuff that he wouldn't be able to talk about.
Yeah,
he's
I
holding
think so.
us back.
He holds us back.
Yeah.
But it's October, and so we have to start celebrating the best holiday of the year.
Of course.
And so in style, we're gonna be talking about our favorite horror movie franchises, which I think will be a lot of fun.
Yes. This is separate from favorite horror movie. This is franchise as a whole.
Franchise as a whole, which is an interesting concept, I think. But any news just in general?
Oh, Kyle? Any news?
Any news, Kyle? No. No, he's shaking.
No, I got no news. Oh,
yeah, he's got nothing.
No.
Right,
well, good. On my end, I'm pleased to announce that I am now part of the Planet Destiny podcast. What? Made it to the big leagues.
You're like super famous
Started
now.
from the bottom. Now I'm a little bit up from the bottom of a podcast. Yeah.
So what's going on there? Because I've heard they've made a few changes.
A few changes by you mean completely changing everything. Completely new set of guys.
Is that what it is?
Yes, there's no carryover, but we got Crucible from Bones Radio on Planet Destiny. We got Fallout Plays, Story Machine, The Black Link, just a bunch of great Destiny YouTubers and Twitchers and the like. We're going to talk about Destiny every week, Sunday at 7, if you want to hear more of my voice, but not that much because they know way more than me and they're way better than me, so I just kind of jump in every now and then with a quip.
You'll get there. You now have to study up so that you seem like you can keep up.
I was actually studying today, going through reading every gun, every perk possible on every gun.
So you can, when someone mentions something like outlaw, and you can really know what that means. I like that. Yeah. There's a lot. I mean, I've played with people that they'll start rattling off, you got that gun. Here are the perks that are good.
This perk or this perk.
Oh my goodness. Let me look at it for a second. They can recognize the symbols and all that. I mean, and that's wonderful.
Great.
That's fine. There's nothing wrong.
I'm that obsessed with other things, but I have yet to reach that level with Destiny. I don't know. I
feels like there's a lot. I think I just get comfortable. I find a gun I like, and then if I like it, I'm not gonna change it. I'm not gonna go and grind for a new roll of a gun if I like it.
But I like this because it's gonna force me to branch out, try new things in Destiny, which is always good because Destiny is a great game.
It is a good game.
And hey, speaking of Destiny, we got Iron Banner coming up.
We do. So excited about that.
Me too.
I don't know personally.
We're two of the people on the planet who don't hate Iron Banner.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with Iron Banana. I love it.
No.
I love it.
It is great.
I find it has an end goal, right? You want to hit that 5 within
and it's not
at level 5 within
it's not
the week.
impossible goal like trials. Like it's something doable.
No, and I think the best part about it for me is my playtime during the week is limited because I work a full-time job and have to grade papers and do all that. And so the way the week is set up in Destiny is it's okay to play later because the XP grows it boosts.
Are they getting rid of that? I believe that they're getting rid of the XP.
Man, I hope not. But it's okay. So I'll survive. I can
take back that last statement.
But that was something I always liked about it. And so if it is being taken out, I can understand that because I think that what this will incentivize is playing more often, which is what they want. But with so many new drops for armor and weapons, which all look amazing.
All look great. I can't vouch for
any perks or whatever.
I can't vouch for
perks that we know
the validity of any of the guns, like the viability in PvP or anything like that. But I can say they all look great.
And see, I'm a collector. I like to just have as many guns as possible. And so this actually Rise of Iron is the first time I hit my vault max.
Ooh.
And it's probably because
how did you handle it emotionally?
Well, I don't know what to get rid of. Like I'm going through and I've got, so a high leveled answering cord, for example, just a Vanguard
that you're never going to use.
I'm never going to use it. So even though the light's there, I might as well just toss it because getting blues are as simple as everything.
Well, Bones from Crucible Radio is offering the service now to sign onto your account and dismantle things in your vault for you that you are unwilling to like do yourself.
So it's a service. That's a good service.
He is offering to help Destiny hoarders.
It's a problem. No, and I've got because I really didn't touch a whole lot of year one stuff until too late, and the light level was already past the light level of those guns or the power level, whatever you want to call it back in year one. And so I have those and I don't know whether or not to get rid of them or not. I have no idea.
Every now and then I'm holding on to a gun like Vision of Confluence or something, and I'm like, what if someday this somehow comes back in a meaningful way?
It's so cool. I mean,
right.
And honestly, it probably won't happen.
No, it won't. I think we all know that. They're not gonna bring back the elemental primaries like at all. That part is obvious, but I still hold on to them because I'm like, I just can't. I can't. I don't want to look in my vault one day and know it's not there.
And honestly, I probably decrypted more exotics than anything because I look at it and I go, okay, that was the regular drop. I can buy it.
Exactly.
And there's absolutely no reason to keep 10 invectives.
I dismantled every single exotic on all of my characters except for Zalo, Supercell, and Bones of Yao.
Yeah.
When Rise of Iron came out because they're all too low of light for it to be relevant anymore. I had tons that I don't use that I just had, and I'm like, I can get them all in the kiosk. Like, it's not necessary. I will re-get them, and I wanted the exotic shards to infuse up the stuff that I do use.
Exactly.
Because I needed that Zalo
with one-to-one infusion. When they brought in one-to-one infusion, which I think was a great thing. Because you really had to strategize before.
You had to get out a calculator and like think, okay, if I infuse this into this first and then this and then this, I can really get it up there.
It was too difficult. And I think it was silly in my opinion.
I think it forced you to use it basically forced you to use gear that you might not want to use to hit the appropriate light level. Because if the only way I could get a 310 drop was from the raid and I didn't have anything that I knew would get to 310 infusing that into it, then I'm just going to wear this raid item.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I didn't care for that.
Yeah. But I love the idea that you have to clear out vault space because I think what that does is it says you can't collect. Sorry. Which I think going into, as we're moving closer to Destiny 2, I think it's something that will help people break from the Destiny 1 mentality,
hoarder mindset.
I think
kind
so.
Of have.
But back to the topic at hand.
Iron Banner, and then we need to circle back.
And then we'll circle back to Destiny 2, of course. But with Iron Banner, I'm really excited to play Supremacy. I really enjoy.
I do too.
This style.
So Supremacy is great. When I saw it was coming, I was like, all right, new game type. Maybe I'll be good at this one. Like, I get it. It's not necessarily about kills. It's about collecting crests.
Right.
So even though I suck, maybe I can just swoop up crests. I'm even worse at it than normal game types, it turns out. I finish even lower, but I really enjoy it still. I think it's a lot of fun and a good way to change it up, and I don't get sniped as often.
No, it's an up close and personal game.
It is.
And I think that's why I love it, because that's really more my play style.
I can't snipe at all, so in any game type that favors sniping, I'm done. I just have to hide and hope that I can find somebody like up close.
Yeah, mid distance. I mean, you've got a chance. I think pulse rifles are important. I think fusion rifles are coming back. I think they work really well.
The Plan C is definitely had a few, like when we were playing Trials, had a few runs that were screwed up by that, like at the last second. Just
So it's that mid to close range game that I think a lot of people will struggle with. And once you lock down your loadout, I think it can be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
I also love that it's more fire team based. I think if you run with a fire team, you will have a noticeable benefit.
Which is always the case, but in Supremacy, it is more noticeable.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you can roll as a team and clean up each other's crests and just I mean,
even when we play as a fire team, our friends, I feel like we don't necessarily work together that much. Like we'll just be chit-chatting and playing, not really strategizing. But when Supremacy first launched, we were doing that and we were just getting creamed. And then we sort of unified a bit when we were getting tired of getting creamed the whole time, and started all right, everyone form up here, go run, get that crest, things like that. And we started to turn around and do a lot better. It's a very good team game.
Well, and I've noticed that the teams who win are the ones who focus on the crest. I mean, it should be obvious. You would think it'd be obvious, but I can't count the number of times where I'm playing Control and someone's running around getting kills, and there's a spot right here. We have to take this zone, and you are now running around just getting kills. It means so little. In Supremacy, it means nothing.
Yeah.
Kills mean nothing. It's getting those crests. So even if I'm getting killed by the same guy over and over and over, I'm still feeling better because I have more crests than he does.
Yes.
And that's what's important.
It's nice when your teammates can pick up the slack if you're terrible. If you keep dying and then your teammates can just run in and grab the crest
save
first,
your crest.
It's hey, it's fine.
Your death does not matter. And I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, and if you're someone like me or you, I'm guessing, who basically trades a lot of the time.
I trade a lot.
Yeah, if you're running with a teammate, then it can still be valuable that you traded. They won't get anything because your teammate can deny your crest and pick up the guy you killed.
Exactly. You can double melee, that perfect punch right at the same time.
Yes.
And it can work out in your favor. It can work out against you. I mean, it works both ways, but I think that's awesome. Or so many times I'll kill a guy, get his crest, turn around, shotgun to the face, and lose my crest. It's just the way it works. I like it.
We'll see how it goes with connectivity issues in Iron Banner that everyone always seems to suffer. That never really impede me that much.
No, I would say unless I'm having just a bad internet day, or I'm just running. Everything is running in the house. I usually don't have too many problems. Only a few times have I red barred, and honestly, it doesn't make it fun for me. So I'll usually quit. I'm not good enough to use a red bar to my advantage.
I certainly wouldn't be able to. I would just end up running into walls and dying still. It wouldn't help me.
Yeah.
I haven't noticed too many people red barring in Iron Banner. Not to a level that is that much higher than normal Crucible that it bothers me.
We ran, was it Trials when we were running with that one guy who... Was that?
Yeah, that was
it was just a really bad, and I think it was a bad connection because it ended up going away.
Yeah.
But his team did win pretty extremely. Sketchy. I don't know.
I don't know if we just suck,
but I've been hearing a lot of salt towards Trials of Osiris lately.
We had some connectivity issues for sure. I was playing with Ballistic Kitty, check her out on Twitch, and she got kicked two cards in a row, basically, with no error code or anything. Just
apparently people are DDoSing each other.
Yeah.
And I don't know that that's the correct phrase to use.
I don't either. Everyone says it, and I've never looked up to verify if that's accurate.
But what some people are apparently doing is spamming messages so that you get notifications nonstop. and so it ends up locking you out. Like you
Interesting.
it ruins your connectivity. I don't know how it works, but that's just what I've been reading on the subreddit, and it's pretty low in my opinion.
Yeah.
If you've got to cheat at trials to win, like you are like the lowest of the low. I would rather go and play with a kindergarten squeaker.
There's a reason why we wrote it in as the most evil thing in Destiny Cops. Like the thing that even shocked the villain of the show was cheating at Trials of Osiris.
Cheating at Trials of Osiris. You deserve
for what?
Every bad thing that ever happens to you. I don't understand the point in
cheating, because the point of trials is to prove like that you're
how good you are.
Yeah, it's supposed
you are
to, I
doing
feel like
the exact opposite.
The real reward is the satisfaction of like I did this, I earned this. Like
I am absolutely terrible at PvP, and trials just proved that to me. Like I ran with you and Kyle, and I'm just.
To be fair, you weren't running with like expert players or anything.
It doesn't matter. It would just stand out more if I was playing with really good players. But I never once did I think to myself, man, I wish I could be cheating right now. Like that just doesn't go through my head. It's part of the game.
I don't understand the mindset.
No,
at all.
It doesn't make sense to me.
If you're a cheater, you suck. Stop listening to this.
That's all there is to say about that. And I am excited for Iron Banner. I enjoy it. It's good competition.
I want all these.
You can move forward even if you lose.
With those medallions
because once you finally hit a win, you're good.
I think
it makes up for it.
Superstar Top said he had like 6 medallions saved up ready for this go. He hates Iron Banner.
That's what I've heard.
He's the typical. He played it the first time, and I don't think he played it again for like a year and a half. Like,
I love it.
I know he's always complaining about it, and I went in. I was like, this is fun.
The loot is there. The drops are there regardless. You have the chance to get something, and I think I have gone the 10 rounds of not winning, and it does get tiresome. But you take a break, you do something else, you jump back in, you're in a new pool of people, and it helps a lot. Fine. But I find it relieves a lot of stress. I enjoy Iron Banner.
I do too. We're not afraid to admit it.
No,
we're looking forward to Iron Banner.
I'm really looking forward to it. Now, some things have been said about Destiny 2, because we do have to.
Yeah, we're gonna circle back.
We're
to
circling back around
Sorry,
in our
Kyle
circle.
Can't be here for this. I'm sure he has opinions.
But Kotaku published an article recently talking about some rumors that came from an inside source at Bungie.
Ooh, inside source.
And the big news is that it sounds like our Guardians will not carry over into Destiny 2. And you and I have spoken a little bit on this, and we're, I think, more confused than anything.
Right.
Because how would it work?
What does it carrying over mean?
What does it mean? I mean, is it, and I think the best thing we can compare it to is Mass Effect.
Yes.
Where you play as a character. You create your look, you create your Shepard. Yep. Which should always be Jack Shepard because of Lost. I mean, come on. But you create your Shepard, and you create the looks, and you go through the story, and you make choices. And those choices then carried over into 2.
Yes.
And those choices that you made into 2 and then carried over into 3.
And then people complained that those choices didn't mean anything.
That those choices didn't mean anything because of the end of 3. Okay, justifiable, I think I would say.
Yeah.
But what does that look like?
How does
for
that
Destiny?
for Destiny? Yeah, I don't know.
I have no idea. What does it look like?
All I can think for carrying over, what it even would mean, would have to just be purely cosmetic.
I think so too.
And I think 90% of people hate what their Guardians look like anyway.
Well, just in Rise of Iron, they made you walk around without a helmet in some of the cutscenes, and I went, holy crap, that's what I looked like? What idiot made that decision?
Looking at your Guardian like 2 years after creating him is as painful as looking at your MySpace like 8 years after creating it.
You're going, what was
that's what I was
thinking?
Like? Oh, God.
I was a terrible person back then.
I blame the character creation tools in Destiny.
Just being
not
awful.
There's not a lot.
And that's and that's honestly thinking about it. I want a new Guardian. I want to have better character creation tools. Yeah. If they're really going for the MMO feel, which is the rumor that they're really going to push the MMO, you have to give more character creation. If you're going to give more character creation, you've got to wipe your original character. You've got to create something new. I mean,
all I can think is if people want their Guardian to carry over, does that just mean like they want the story to be about the same Guardian, because there's really not a lot of story that centers on us.
On the Guardian, no.
There's a relationship between you and Ghost, I guess. That's it. So
well, and this idea of creating your own story, creating your own legend, we're all doing the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, an individual's impact is not different.
Right.
Where in an MMO situation, you can have different characters, different avatars being better than other avatars. Mm-hmm. The story that so-and-so has finished is going to be different from the so-and-so the story that someone else has finished.
Yeah.
And so if you're pushing that MMO, I think you have to start fresh.
I feel like...
Because there's no way that you could say, I want to keep all my guns.
Yeah.
And that puts me... Is that the new Zero? Is that the new...
Right. So what do they carry over your guns, and those are the level 3 white gear equivalent in the new game?
That would just
like,
that would
be weird.
Totally ruin everything you ever...
Then we're Dragon Ball Z-ing the franchise too much, where every time things just suddenly get exponentially more powerful, like to a point where it loses believability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does not work.
No.
And so I think it was an interesting concept that Destiny 2 would be a continuation, and that you would be able to start where you were, but that someone else could jump in and start brand new and fresh. Mm-hmm. I don't know that the reality of that is as cool as people think it could be.
Because I like we said, it makes sense for a game like Mass Effect where you have decisions and impact, but we don't have a story in Destiny.
Exactly.
I don't think we are pawns in a larger world story, but our actual story is nothing more than helped beat this big evil thing that had a story.
Right.
Like I don't know anything about my Guardian at all because he's nothing.
He's nothing. No, it's me. Yeah. It's me, the player.
Yeah, he's just a guy who goes out and he kills big things with his ghost. So the only things you could carry over is the ghost voice. You could have Nolan North still be the ghost, and then I believe I'm the same guy, I guess, but that's really it. Yeah.
And that's an interesting
controversial
concept.
Opinion from us, probably.
I guess I guess I just don't care. Like I think we've all, for the most part, 80% of us have completed the same amount of stuff.
Yeah.
When you really look at it, that's the amount who have completed the raids, who have completed. It's only the top of the top that have gone to the lighthouse, and I mean it's like lower than 1% people have gone to the lighthouse. It's really low. Most people,
I've never been there.
Most players don't do some of the really extreme things. I would say, I think even I read recently that the number for people who have completed every raid is actually really low.
I believe that. Yeah.
But the people who have complete it multiple times. I mean, like regularly.
Yeah.
And so I don't know that it matters to the everyday player, like the super casual player.
I'm sure. Yeah, there are people that are hoarders, like the extreme hoarders who have all their stuff. Like we all have that instinct, but
it's a game.
It's not necessary. Yeah, in the long run. To me, I could see wanting maybe to carry over cosmetic items. Like if class items didn't have light, I would see like the merit in that. But like maybe ships and sparrows and ghost shells and
maybe
stuff like that.
Maybe if ornaments are going to stick around, ornaments would be
for
nice.
Your guns would be anything like that. I think ornaments would have to stick around because you can spend real money to buy them, and that
we would hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be real shit, basically.
Yeah, that'd be awful.
If you bought a bunch of packages for ornaments and then it was nothing. So maybe only exotics should like carry over, but they should lock you out of them.
Yeah, just like year one exotics were locked at a certain level. And,
yeah,
I mean,
if I had to do it to make it logical in game, I would make it so between 1 and 2, our Guardian loses or fails in some way and is drained of his light, of his power, and sent to like a new place, basically. Yeah. So you have to level up, and that explains why you're no longer high enough to use your exotic gear. So then you level up throughout the game. Once you get to the end again, you can reuse
some of those old stuff.
Yeah, some of the
that
exotics
would make sense.
that you had.
Or even something along the lines of, okay, you have been dead again for however many years, and you have to start fresh. I like that. I think that could work. Where Where then when you look at it, it's almost as though your goal is re-unlocking your vault from from game
getting
one.
Some of your stuff back, and then you have kind of that badge of honor if there's some things that like aren't necessarily carried over to get again. Like you have like, oh, you can't even get Bones of Yao anymore or whatever. But this
then
has
exactly.
But you should never take Bones of Yao out of the game.
Please don't.
They're perfect.
Those are important for a lot of things. But let us know in the comments section.
What
Those
you
of you
think.
following us on YouTube, let us know what you think. Is this something that scares you? I mean, is it something that would put you off of buying Destiny 2? Or is it something that you can roll with?
Yeah.
And what do you think it'll look like? Because I think, of course, we're all interested in Destiny 2.
Yes.
We want to know.
I don't think anybody who's listening to this
I hate Destiny.
Yeah, I mean,
I hope not.
I would hope not too. I'm sure there's
sorry
some
life that
you
lead. Listening to this must suck. But yeah, let us know what you think because I think all of us we want to know, but at the same time, not in any rush to get there quite yet.
No, I'm still having a good time with
do.
Destiny 1 right now. I'm not hurting for Destiny 2. Of course, as soon as there's any sort of trailer or leak, I'll
be latching onto it, and I've still got to beat the raid. I've still got to go through, and I've got
it through yet.
No, it's been a rough week trying to finish that raid. It just has not been pleasant.
We're gonna get you there.
I know. Right? I'm so excited for it because the thing is, I know how to do it. I get it,
that's
and I
annoying.
think that's what makes it almost. It's so tangible. It's so right there within grasp.
It's like as soon as you turn off the console and like 5 minutes pass after you've given up, you're like, oh man, I bet I could do that.
I bet I
know
could do
it.
my skills are there. Yeah. It's I don't know what it is.
It takes
rough crews. I think it takes a good amount of luck with who gets empowered there at the end of the raid, and just an impeccable amount of communication.
That's been our problem.
Yeah,
but we've got it on lock. We beat it in like an hour and a half last time we played without you, so I'm positive we can do it with you
in like 3 hours when I joined.
Yeah, once you're there, you'll only hold us back.
I'll only hold you back. No, I love the raid, and if you guys, I will push Planet Destiny's new podcast. I've been listening to it.
Well, it's not necessarily new. Well, it's the new.
It's the new. The new Planet Destiny
the
podcast.
New old Planet Destiny.
I think you guys had a wonderful conversation on why this raid is just so great, and so we've talked about it. Yeah. We all enjoy it.
If you didn't get enough of it from us,
go listen because I think you guys just talk better, and I thought it's
all the Black Link. He's got that really sultry voice.
It really is. Yeah. It's fantastic. I could listen to his voice all day. But you guys spoke on the raid and just what makes it wonderful, and so definitely go and check out Planet Destiny's new / old podcast.
Yes, the new crew on the old
podcast. It's fantastic. Definitely Husky Radio approved. Even though really we're just trying to get their approval because that's all we want out of it.
Yes. All right. And now that we've spoke on Destiny,
it's time.
It's time for us to finally talk about something else after a lot of Destiny the last couple weeks.
Yeah. And so October, I think it's my favorite month, and I'm fairly certain it's your favorite month.
Definitely my favorite holiday of the year.
Halloween is fantastic. I love Halloween.
We both love horror stuff.
Yeah, and so I think that's probably one of the early things that kind of kindled our friendship was this love. We're making hand signs.
Yeah, we are.
Our listeners.
You're listening here. Listen to the hand signs.
Ooh. Yeah, that was beautiful. It was romantic.
Sure. Yeah.
We did connect early on through horror movies. We both introduced each other to a lot of horror movies, and so it's something near and dear.
Tyler's are weird. The ones he makes me watch.
Yeah, I've forced some pretty crazy ones on Scott, but certainly it's something that we have in common, and that we both really really love and have since we were young.
Well, I didn't love them when I was young, but I was forced to watch them, and through some sort of
was that an older sibling thing?
Yeah, of course. I've got like Stockholm syndrome for horror movies, though. They held me captive, and now I love them.
Yep, my mom is the one who introduced me to horror movies. She said,
I watched Halloween with my mom. That was like the first.
Mine was Poltergeist.
Aw.
She was like, "Let's watch this," and I know I thanked her afterward. I was like, "That was fun."
Thanks,
like that was,
Mom.
But at the same time, I was. Why the hell would you show this to me? Because
I've got that clown doll in my room.
I mean, it was definitely maybe 11. I was under the age of 13, I would say, and that was Poltergeist has moments where I didn't even understand that. Now as an adult, I'm going, oh, they're smoking pot there.
Almost shockingly old to me, because the first horror movie that I ever watched, I had to have been, I would say, 7 when my siblings made me watch. Probably it was either Halloween, Poltergeist, or Child's Play 3. I can't remember which one was the first, but
I did see parts of Child's Play at a family Thanksgiving.
Oof.
Had to be less than 10, but the memory sticks out, so I know it's there.
Yeah.
I knew it was Child's Play, and when my cousins, very distant cousins, tried to explain what Child's Play was, it was scary, their explanation. So I know I was pretty young, but never really touched horror movies. It wasn't something that we would go and watch as a family, but my mom showed me Poltergeist, and that's just one that stuck with me.
Poltergeist
forever.
Always stuck with me. Where he's like looking in the mirror and
he pulls his face apart.
Pulls his face. That creeped me out so much as a kid. Like,
it's
anytime I woke up in the middle of the night to like wash my, like I use the bathroom and wash my hands, I was always like thinking about it.
The tree outside, the tree attacking, because I grew up with a tree outside my window, and
at least it wasn't the Evil Dead tree.
It was not the Evil. Thank God for that. It's the small things in life that make you happy.
Yeah.
And it's not the Evil Dead tree just makes things better in life. But it was always kind of a creepy tree. It made shapes on the windows, and so that connected with me. So what we're talking about today is our favorite franchises.
Yes.
What makes them better than other franchises, and why they're the ones that stick with us. And I think you and I both picked ones that we expected each other to pick, honestly. One, because it's hard to say that you've watched every single movie of every franchise out there. And so even though I've seen probably more of the Hellraiser franchise than most people, I've not finished it.
Because if you've seen more than one, then you've seen more than most people.
It's a painful franchise. And though I want to love it because I love the lore of it, you just can't sit there and watch Hellraiser. I commend people who love it, and the people who love it really love it. But it's not great. It's not my favorite, certainly.
It's out there. It's an out there franchise.
But I would say you've probably seen more franchises.
I was always
a franchise.
I was the big franchises type of guy with horror movies. Like my siblings they'd buy all like the DVD box sets or VHS tapes, and I would watch them like in their rooms and stuff. So Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, all those classic ones that have way too many movies are the ones that I love.
Well, and I think there's something to be said about the horror genre that there really isn't any other genre that has that except for the Fast and Furious movies, and that's it.
Those are scary to me.
You don't see like romantic comedies that have eight movies in them unless it's a Tyler Perry series. I mean, you just don't see it.
No, you really don't.
It does not exist. You're not gonna.
Even Star Wars, it took them like 40 years to hit 7.
Yeah. Now maybe we'll get The Hangover 4, 5, 6, 7, but we don't.
What Police Academy?
Okay. Naked Gun had a fair amount.
There were
of sequels.
3 of those.
There's only 3?
Yeah, 2.5, 33, and a third.
33 and a third. Okay,
yeah.
so
it seems like there's
Academy
more.
might be the winner here for comedy franchises.
God.
But there's something about the horror genre that people just latch on to this idea of let's keep going with the same idea. And to a certain extent, it's recycling.
It definitely is.
But I would say the franchises that you and I have picked, they develop over time. And when we look at the franchise as a whole, there's something to be said for what's going on.
Yes.
Do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
I can go first. That's fine.
Okay.
So I want to be very clear on the distinction that this is franchises, not favorite horror movie, which is when you're considering what makes a great horror franchise, you can't go by what's the scariest or like the bet, because all franchises cease to be scary once they hit the franchise point.
Yes.
So I go by what consistently is entertaining.
I think that's a good rule to go by.
When it comes to being consistently entertaining, you can't beat the Nightmare on Elm Street series for me.
Solid choice.
Yes. The first one is actually really good and really scary.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah. And when you're a kid, they're all really scary.
Yeah.
I remember distinctly, I don't know why I did it to myself, but my brother he got the box set that had all of them up until Wes Craven's New Nightmare. I think that's 7 movies. Yeah. 6 is Freddy's Dead or whatever. And then, Wes Craven's New Nightmare 7. Either way, I just remember I was at my dad's house for the weekend. My brother was gone and the box set was there. And for some reason, I just watched all of them straight through, like one after the other, and then had nightmares for the next few months that were horrifying.
Yeah.
But what's great about the Nightmare on Elm Street series is that it evolves over time from horror to genius comedy with like a slapstick murderer as the main villain. Like, I don't know. You have to, for me, since I love these classic big franchise movies, you have to, it's all about the killer.
Right. Exactly.
That's what makes them famous. People like to root for the killer and against the dumb teenagers. And there's the most entertaining killer in any of the old slasher movies is Freddy. He's the only one who talks.
He's got a ton of like individual. Yeah, I mean, when I'm now, you just said that and I didn't even make that thought. He's got so much agency that he's not just a blanket kind of psychological.
He's witty,
scary being.
He's this extra dimensional, horrifying monster man, but he's also really funny in the way that he goes about.
Jason doesn't talk.
No,
his mom talks.
That's all. Every great franchise starts with a great single horror movie that gets stretched way too thin.
Yes, that's without a doubt. That is the true fact with this conversation.
So Friday the 13th also has a great first one with his mom, and then it has the best ending to any horror movie of the big classic ones to me. That Jason jumping out of the water. Like 40-year-old spoilers here, 30-year-old. I don't know how old it is.
But I mean, that's I think such an iconic scene.
Yeah.
It's so perfect.
And I would pick that, or I would pick Halloween or Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but none of them can touch just that Freddy Krueger and his one-liners and his goofy kills that he does. And no matter what, the dream scenes are always imaginative and fun. Like, I don't know, there's something about it.
It's got a lot of originality, but it stems in something so kind of carnal and childlike that nightmares can become real. And I think that's truly terrifying. Now, where do you include the remake?
I wouldn't include the remake
as part of the franchise.
No,
is my question.
I would not include it because when I think of the franchise, I think of the box set with the original. I mean, it's got to be Robert Englund.
Okay.
As I mean, the remake is. As remakes go, it's okay. I mean, but it's got nothing on the original movies. And I would hold that same rule true for the Friday 13th remake or the Halloween. The Friday 13th remake is probably actually a better movie than 90% of the Friday 13th movies because
they're
the most recycled, repetitive movies. So an upgrade in quality can only really help that franchise.
Freddy vs. Jason.
I count that one because it does have Robert Englund in it, and I think that
does that make the total 8 then? I mean, 8 movies.
I think that makes it 8
because that came after New Nightmare.
Yes, it did. New Nightmare is one that I almost have a hard time counting. New Nightmare because it's such a weird meta movie. Mm-hmm. For anyone who doesn't know, it sets the premise that the main character in that movie is the actress that played Nancy in the first and third movies, and it's about Freddy, the character, being brought to life essentially like from her fears. Like he's like more of a manifestation of like a hellish power, I think.
Yeah,
he's not like
that's the way
Freddy,
I took it.
But that's the way that it's like the Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters. It's just presented as Freddy. So it's like it's not really Freddy, and it's a really weird movie that's weirdly meta, but it's actually pretty good. So I count it. I'll count it amongst there.
I agree. I think it should be in there.
Have you ever, before we move on, and you say yours, have you ever noticed that the big like 3 all have a really famous actor in their first one? Jamie Lee Curtis for Halloween. Yeah. Johnny Depp for Nightmare on Elm Street. Kevin Bacon for Friday the 13th.
That's really interesting.
I always thought that was really weird.
Yeah, and I don't think that you could put anything else kind of in that category.
Yeah.
But it is interesting when we think about these franchises, how many of them have that remake of the original, where Halloween, Rob Zombie's revision of the original. I mean, it's essentially
his is a pretty good remake with a lot of extra background added in.
Yeah, which is nice. Yeah, if that's what you're looking for. But Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, they've all had these Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which are the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre is almost what you would expect the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre was like. If you watch them, you go, this is a slasher flick. Yeah. This one is a surreal kind of psychological
makes you very uncomfortable to watch.
Oh yeah. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, is terrifying only in the sense that someone filmed that and someone paid for it to be filmed.
Yes.
Like
that is the movie that of all the old ones holds up to make me uncomfortable the most. Like
definitely
something about it feels the realest of all of them. Like it's so blood and effects. Believable. There's not a lot of it, but it's like what's there is like
it's uncomfortable. The family dinner and it's just it makes you feel really, really uncomfortable. And I think that's something that makes that one stand out quite a bit. My franchise is a little more modern. Started much later, but in the same vein, had a wonderful, just amazing first movie that kind of morphed the genre, some would say, and then just movie after movie after movie came. But it's one that I can sit there, and I think just like you, I could sit there and watch it straight through and not feel as though I've wasted a day. I truly enjoy this franchise, and I'm talking about the Saw franchise.
Oof.
It's a tough one, and that's
how you know Tyler's a freak. That the movie he could sit and watch all day is like the torture, disgusting gore movies.
It has a message of positivity and changing your life. Everyone has second chances, Scott.
Of course.
No, the first movie when we start out with Saw is just visceral, graphic, bloody. It just destroys all of your expectations.
Yes. When it comes to first movies in the franchise,
holy
you win.
Cow. That is so many twists, so many turns, and when you find out, spoiler alert, that the guy
big spoiler word. If you haven't
seen Saw, turn it off right now.
Turn off now and watch the movie.
I'll wave my hands when you can come back.
It is a great ending, and it should not be spoiled for you.
When you find out that he was in the room the whole time, it's so perfect. I mean, it's the perfect murder mystery, torture mystery, let's call it. I mean, it's so good. I love that. And it shocks me every time when I'm watching, even after I know.
Yes.
Because I'm watching going, he's right there.
He's right.
He's right there.
Yes.
He's right the whole time. And that's what makes the second viewing of that even better. And I think it's fantastic.
Oh, yes. You're good.
All right, waving to the audience. They can come back now.
Yes, and
anyone listening did not get any effect of that other than hopefully they fast forwarded.
Fast forwarded a little bit. You fast forwarded to the appropriate spot if you fast
now
forwarded.
You can listen for hopefully spoiler free.
Spoiler free of the important one at least. Maybe we'll spoil the other one. They all kind of try to recreate that magic of a twist at first. At least
recreate these moments. But what I love about the franchise is moving forward is it goes from being very small, being one character and the people he's directly interacted with, to gradually building outward in a sort of like lotus flower way that each petal unfolds to reveal another petal. An onion, it has layers.
Yes. Cakes
have layers.
Everybody
And this is true for the movie. It keeps growing, and so each person who is touched by Jigsaw in some way becomes a part in the next movie, and it gradually builds and builds and builds. There are only a few moments in watching the entire franchise from beginning to end where you say, that guy doing what he's doing doesn't really make sense with what he was doing earlier. Or there are moments where something happens in like the second movie that's not brought back until the sixth movie. And I think that's fantastic. It's not until the last movie you really get an idea of how fast everything has been happening.
I don't know if I ever saw the last
movie. That's one I really don't want to spoil.
Okay.
But feel free, if you're not going to watch it, look it up. if you're someone who's been on the edge, there is a big payoff at the end. And I really liked it. I felt that it was a worthwhile payoff. And that's maybe one of the reasons why, even though there are some movies in there that just, this is so off topic, this doesn't connect with the original, it's the bring around back at the end where you go, whoa.
What this is reminding me of, and what I'm now realizing Saw reminds me of, is like a great TV show where they only planned out like 3 seasons, but they got ordered for 7.
For orders.
Yeah, and it just like they keep throwing pushing things in, and you're like, okay, it's good kind of still, but it's starting to make less sense. But then they have that same great ending.
Yeah.
And they eventually bring it back around. So
and
it's
you're like,
satisfying.
Oh, okay.
You're glad you watched it all.
Cool.
And even though the last few seasons kind of sucked, you still feel sad that it's over.
It's exactly how I feel about this.
It's very heartwarming to watch.
It's exactly
Saw.
how I feel about this. Now, what I think the big difference for me and why I would go to Saw as opposed to Nightmare on Elm Street is that after I've seen Nightmare on Elm Street, and I've seen a majority of the movies, but I will admit I have not seen all of them.
That's fair.
Is that I don't have that kind of desire to go back and see more. Like, I don't know that I would feel like if I go back that I would say, oh, I missed that the first time. Like, I like the mental thrillers. I like being able to solve it maybe early on.
Yes.
And that's something that going back and rewatching Saw, I feel I'm constantly picking up small clues. Things in the background, pictures on police walls, things like that are thrown in there, little hints that build for me the world.
Basically what we're landing on here is like plotting versus characters.
I think so.
I love the character of Freddy Krueger. You love
the
intricate plotting of Saw.
Without a doubt. That's
kind of where Saw got away from me, is when the characters, like more and more of them started to kind of like be apprentices. Jigsaw seemed less important as it went on. Like he wasn't really there. He wasn't a presence from what I recall. I saw most of them in theaters and only in theaters. So it's been a while since I've seen them, but I seem to recall like other people taking over for him.
That's what builds. Yep. He and that was almost part of his goal at the beginning, was to create this legacy of basically
crazy murderer people.
Crazy. Well, but they don't. For the most part.
Okay.
For the most part.
They don't technically.
Jigsaw does not kill anyone. And
he just engineers very elaborate situations where they rip their faces off.
They can escape. No, he's a murderer. Without a doubt. He's a murderer. And deserves prison.
Yeah.
Because he's torturing people.
Of course.
So, but there are... One of the interesting moments is in one of the later movies where you have 2 different apprentices. One went one route and one went a very different route. The more one goes the same route as John in the movie Jigsaw, that you have a chance at redemption. You have a chance to escape.
Oh, that's
While
right.
another one goes the direction that you are being punished for the evil things that you've done. You don't deserve a second chance. And that becomes a big problem moving forward.
Actually, I distinctly remember watching one of the movies and getting upset because the traps weren't, like,
you couldn't escape.
Yeah, somebody had to die in them.
Yes.
Like no matter what.
Yes.
And I was like, that doesn't seem like it fits.
And it's all explained.
It all comes back around.
It's that episode 4, 5, and 6 that you just you don't get.
Yep.
And that's one of the reasons I love it, because I'm and this is something that if those of you who are regular listeners, you might know, I'm a story guy, and Saw has that story. That's not to say that Freddy doesn't have the story.
No.
But for me,
he's a very recycled same story every movie, but I am a character guy.
Yeah.
So,
and I think these are 2 awesome choices for franchises. And if you're looking for something to do this October, those are 2 solid franchises. One kind of, starting in the 80s, one starting in the aughts.
I think it was the aughts. Early aughts.
Yeah.
You ought to watch it.
You ought to watch it. It's one that there are scares in some of those movies. There are moments. Let me call them moments, because it's scary only in the sense that it's so visceral.
Yeah.
But there are just things that I can remember exactly where I was when I saw certain scenes from Saw. That's the kind of...
You want to know where I was when I saw Saw 2? How I watched it, the only way I've ever watched it, on a school bus trip watching it on a PSP.
Oh, that sounds absolutely terrible. Now I know why you don't like this
I really
series.
enjoyed Saw 2, actually, watching. I was like, oh, wow, it was pretty good. It's a good movie.
Oh, Saw 2 when Amanda is thrown into the needle pit.
Yep.
Oh, that hurts.
This is a gross podcast without Kyle. We really need him here.
Yeah. So yeah, let us know in the comments. Of course, we always want to know what's your favorite horror franchise. I think we have 4 podcasts this month. Yes. I think if I counted right, we have a perfect 4 for this month. We are going to talk something horror related every week.
Most likely, yeah.
Building up until the Monday night of Halloween.
Yeah.
I think we're going to record that night. We've definitely got to be talking about something.
Oh, I don't know if I'll be here. We'll have to record before that
we may
Monday
have to record
because I'm leaving October 30th.
That's right.
My stupid honeymoon.
Damn it. Oh.
We'll record a little bit beforehand, but we'll release it on that Monday.
But we'll release it on Halloween.
You won't know. We'll
you
wear
won't even know.
We'll
you don't even know. We'll timestamp it.
You don't even know when this was recorded.
You don't know.
You don't even know.
You don't know. But we'll do something fun for it. We'll come in costume or something. I don't know. But thank you guys for listening. Yes. This is episode 10. It really does mean...
should. I'm going to on the fly throw this at you right now. I think we should each, since it's October and we're doing this weekly, we should each pick a horror movie that's on Netflix to recommend.
Ooh, I love that. I love that.
Right now, throwing it out. You think for a second. I just watched one last night, so I'll throw it out there.
I've got mine.
If you're interested in gross stuff like Saw,
always.
Yeah, well, you can watch a classic, The Reanimator.
Oh, that's a wonderful one.
That one's on Netflix.
Oh, I wish I could have picked that one.
I'm sorry.
No, that's a wonderful one.
It's super gross and cool.
Without spoilers, break it down for us because I think it's.
Well, you break it down because I watched it like last night, very tired.
You know, we're not gonna spoil it. Go and watch it.
All right,
because
good.
anything I say, I feel like will be a spoiler. Yeah. Go and watch it. It's fantastic. There are moments in there that are so iconic in the genre of horror that. You just have to see it. If don't look anything up before watching it. It's fantastic.
But yeah, it's a gorier one.
It's gory, but it's old.
It's like classic gore, so it's not gonna be like Saw where you want to throw up. It's gonna be like that's
real effects.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. The visual effects for the time were just, mind blowing.
Yeah.
And so definitely go and watch that one. Now, I'm gonna pick one that's a little more. It's current. Came out last year.
Okay.
It's called Darling, and Darling, it's just it's really hard to describe, but it reminds me of The Shining a lot.
Okay,
and so I can definitely recommend that one. If you're looking for a review, then you have to go and check out my website, streamsofhorror.com. It's fantastic, but I do have a review of it on there. I think if you're looking for something not as gory, though it has its moments. It's more psychological. You really don't know what's going on a lot of the times, and I won't spoil anything at the end. I won't say anything. I won't even, like when someone says, "Oh, there's a twist at the end." Yeah. That ruins that there's a twist at the end.
So are you telling me right now there's a twist at the end?
I will not say that there's a twist at the end. There's not a twist at the end.
Oh, you just ruined it.
I just ruined it.
Damn it.
There you go. But it's definitely, if you're a fan of the old Twilight Zone episodes, if you're a fan of Kubrick's The Shining, this is definitely the movie for you. Darling, it's on Netflix.
Perfect.
Check it out. And Reanimator is on Netflix. Check it out. Both two very different movies, but worth your time.
All right.
Just want to say thank you. Before I was interrupted, I was going to say thank you guys for listening. This is, like I said, this is episode 10. We will have Kyle, Boisterous Biddy Davidson on here next week.
Hopefully he shows up.
He's probably blowing up our phones right now, angry for recording without him. But Husky Radio, episode 10. Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.